Ew, what a stench. So ludicrous, drenched in wine. My oldest son's wife, with devilish eyes, mocks me loudly while I lie bedridden with fever. Incredibly, the she-devil had the audacity to drench me with wine while I'm sick. In my daze, her cruel actions and words pierced my heart. We're heading back to our own place soon, so make sure you clean up before we get back. Don't leave a speck of dust. Her arrogant comment made me want to suspect if she was possessed by a devil. But this attitude of hers isn't anything new. Since we started living together, she has always made me feel like an outsider, always playing mean tricks on me. Wow, that's lame, Catherine. You're so mean. Even my eldest son, joining in on his wife's behavior, claps his hands and bursts into laughter behind her. I wonder how he grew up to be like this. That's fine. I'm not bothered by this. So what about it? You'll clean up, right? Not like you have any other choice. She looks down at me with a smirk. Throughout this, she continues to haunt me with phrases like, how filthy. Yes, I'll clean up. Unable to speak up, I reluctantly answered, biting my lips. Then I'll leave it to you. If it's not clean, I'm not responsible for what happens to this house. I understand. I was unable to talk back because of my fever, and I grudgingly replied as she wished. But my blood was boiling with anger. I was no longer able to forgive my eldest son and his wife. My name is Mary. I'm a 71-year-old homemaker. My husband, Bob, is a farmer. He's a bit of a stickler and not much of a talker, but I know he loves his family deeply, and I believe we've built a good relationship over the years as a married couple. Thanks to that, as a full-time housewife, I lead a peaceful life at home. Is what I wish I could say, but I live with my eldest son and his wife. I have 2 children, my eldest son, John, who is turning 42 this year, and my second son, James, who is 38. John got married late, and he brought his wife, Catherine, home only last year. Catherine seems to be working in a nightclub, and her flashy clothes and hairstyle shocked me at first. She's 40 this year, but she does look younger. She must be leveraging her looks in her work. She and my jobless eldest son, who is still working part-time jobs, seem to be a perfect match. My second son, on the other hand, is still single and works as an office worker. Unlike John, who has an attitude, James is a gentle and kind child. I sometimes worry that he might not be popular with the girls because he's too kind. But that's also one of James' charms, so I want him to stay that way. Being blessed with 2 children, I wish I could say that my life was smooth sailing, but my peaceful life is now threatened by my eldest son and his wife. All this started from the moment I met my eldest son's wife. 1 year ago, Catherine, my eldest son's wife, came to our house for the first time. At that time, my husband was out at a gathering with neighboring farmers, and I was home alone. To begin with, John hadn't said anything about getting married, so I was surprised when he suddenly said, "I'm bringing my girlfriend home today." Furthermore, when I asked for more details, Catherine was not just a girlfriend, but someone he had already married a month ago. I was dumbfounded and scolded my eldest son, who had registered their marriage without even telling me about it. You should have at least brought her to greet us before getting married, right? Have you even met her parents? When did all of this even happen? Oh, give me a break. I'm not a kid. I don't need to consult my parents for everything. Stop nagging me. Looking at my eldest son's condescending attitude as if he was belittling me, I wondered where I had gone wrong raising him. As for parenting, I've done about the same for both John and James, so it's surprising that they turned out to have such different personalities. Anyway, please get your life sorted here on out. Now I don't even know how to greet your wife's parents. Yeah. I was slightly annoyed at the nonchalant tone in his response, as if he wasn't taking me seriously at all. But I swallowed my anger, knowing that it would get us nowhere if we kept arguing. As planned, John's wife came to our house later, immediately shouting, "Wow, this house is so cramped!" Indeed, our house is not spacious. We bought this second-hand house 35 years ago, did some interior remodeling, and started living here. All our friends were building new houses, so ours looked quite dated compared to others, and the old-fashioned architecture was quite apparent. But I loved our house. Thanks to my husband's hard work, we were able to buy a house that, while not our dream home, was cozy enough. We made adjustments when remodeling while taking in our layout into consideration. Thanks to this, we have a space that is perfect for our lifestyle. John's wife mocked our house the moment she stepped her foot in here, and I just couldn't believe how she had the nerve to say such a thing. Right? It's shabby and cramped and not cozy enough. Both Mom and Dad are too stubborn to buy a new house. John, who lived with us in this house up until 15 years ago, joined in her laughter. He's renting an apartment and living there now, but doesn't he have fond memories of this house too? This was a surprise to me, but I guess it's fitting for an old lady like you. She just met me for the first time, but glared at me and made snide remarks. I was flabbergasted. Not only did she mock our house, but she even had the audacity to speak ill of her mother-in-law. I'm sorry our house is so small. As you can imagine, the time after that was hell. I was so shocked by the words from John's wife that I was barely able to serve tea or sweets, and the couple just stared at me in disbelief. Hey, at least be prepared to welcome us. Poor Catherine, you gotta welcome her with love. Spilling tea? Are you a newbie waitress or something? I endured the scene by plugging my ears to block Catherine's laughter. I'm sorry. I don't want this daughter-in-law to ever set foot in our house again. I prayed for him never to bring her over again. However, my prayer was never heard, and about half a year ago, John called me. It was bad news. Starting next week, Catherine and I will be living with you, okay? Live together? Why? Why not? There's no mortgage payment left for your house anymore, right? So it doesn't matter if 1 or 2 more people move in. You're not losing anything. I couldn't comprehend what John was saying. I was totally against living together with them. People always talk about mother-in-law and daughter-in-law issues, and I bet John's wife would hate to live together too. Above all, I didn't think I could live a normal life with John's wife. I don't want you guys to move in here. I don't want any problems anyway. And first of all, has Catherine agreed to this? Catherine says she's just fine with it. I got an okay from her yesterday, so we'll be moving in next week. Wait, just a minute. The call ended before I could reply. From next week, John and his wife are moving in here? I shivered at the thought. That night, I decided to discuss it with my husband. I don't see a problem with it. Excuse me? I'm fine as long as Catherine is fine with it. They can help with living expenses after all. I doubt that, though. My husband, oblivious to Catherine's personality, was down to have them live with us. Our daughter-in-law herself said she's fine with it, so I understand why my husband isn't opposed to all this. But the problem is that our daughter-in-law can be a rather insensitive individual. If my husband is fine with it, then I guess it can't be helped. It's our son's request, after all. I couldn't quite turn him away, so I told him that we agreed on letting him and his wife move in here. But in return, you must contribute to our household expenses, got it? Yeah, I know. His nonchalant response made me wonder if this was going to be okay, but he's already in his 40s. I shouldn't have trouble having him pay for our expenses. And so, half a year ago, my eldest son and his wife moved in with us. At first, contrary to my fears, both of them were quiet and kept to themselves. I was fed up with how they barely helped around the house, but seeing my son go to work during the day and his wife doing the same at night, I refrained from meddling. However, both my son and his wife were living on opposite schedules, and I wondered how they managed to keep their marriage going. But it wasn't my place to pry into their business. While they stayed with us, the couple hardly ever talked to my husband. Given their work schedules and lifestyle differences, it was somewhat understandable, and my husband never took the initiative to strike up a conversation either. And like that, the first month passed without any major issues. It was around that time that I approached my son about our living expenses. Living expenses? You can't seriously think I have that kind of money. What? What he said was different from what we had agreed on before, so I was taken aback. Why should Catherine and I have to pay you? You don't have a mortgage to pay off, so don't be so stingy." With that, he left for his part-time job. Oh, God. Even though I had my doubts about living together, I reluctantly agreed only under the condition that they would help out with our living expenses. Not contributing even a cent is unacceptable. I told the same thing to Catherine, but her response was, "Huh? Get the money from John." She didn't take me seriously either. I finally realized I had been played by my son and his wife. From there, things only got worse. Perhaps because they were annoyed by me being a housewife, they started making snide remarks at me whenever they got the chance. "Must be nice being old. You can live freely on your pension without having to work." "That's right. You should at least do our laundry since you're not working." They said that I should have it easy since I don't work, and that I should do all the chores since I'm a housewife, but they wouldn't contribute to our living expenses. Their comments were absurd. I tried to avoid their complaints as much as possible and endured their behavior. To make matters worse, they would always bully me when my husband was not around. They know that I'm getting old and I don't have the energy or the will to fight back. When will this old hag leave? It'd be better without her around. Even Catherine, who used to mock this house for being small, was making comments. Their bullying didn't stop at verbal abuse. "Hey, what's with this new shelf?" "I replaced that old shabby dresser. It was so outdated." "This one's cuter anyway." To my astonishment, they had thrown away our family heirlooms and replaced them with a new furniture while I was out. Worse, they'd chosen flashy foreign-style furnishings that didn't match our aesthetic in the slightest. Oh no, my mother's mementos. I fell into a state of despair when I saw that they had even thrown out my dresser that I had cherished and the chest I had inherited from my mother. Why would you throw away other stuff without even asking? Even I lost my temper at this point and raised my voice in anger, but they were unbothered. "It's no big deal. What's the point in holding on to mementos?" With every change of furniture, I was overwhelmed by the horrifying feeling that my home was being taken over. And what made me even angrier was that they didn't contribute to the household expenses at all, but they had the money to buy furniture. My husband was busy with work and didn't have time to worry about what was going on at home, so he just watched John and Catherine in silence. "This is our home too, so we can do whatever we want, right?" I felt an inexplicable fear toward Catherine, who smiled smugly at me. As these incidents piled up, I was mentally drained. Then, as if to add insult to injury, my husband collapsed from overwork. This happened just a month ago. "He needs to rest for a while." I was shocked by the doctor's words. I felt so guilty for not noticing my husband's exhaustion because I was too busy dealing with John and his wife. "Is that so?" "I'm sorry, Mary." "No, I'm sorry. I didn't notice. You need rest, honey." "I'll be back as soon as possible." My husband said that, but his condition didn't improve much, and a month has passed since then. As expected, the harassment from John and his wife worsened while my husband was away. They broke dishes, pushed me from behind, and made me fall. It was blatant physical abuse, but I was too worried about my husband to think about myself. And then the day finally came. I was doing laundry as usual in the morning. That's when I began to feel feverish. My head felt slightly painful. I measured my temperature just in case, and it was 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit. A mild fever. I was taken aback because I hadn't had a fever in years. I was probably worn out from everything I was going through. I was afraid I might faint if I continued work while standing, so I laid down on the couch in the living room. I should be fine in a few minutes. Since my son and his wife were still asleep, I thought no one would complain about me lying down for a bit. However, the living room door opened. John and his wife entered with large suitcases. "Mom, what are you doing there? Hurry up and do the laundry." "Wow, she's so lazy for a full-time housewife. Pathetic." "Well, I just have a slight fever today. I'll get up as soon as I rest for a bit, so wait." "No, we can't wait. We're about to go out." Indeed, I could guess from their large luggage that they were about to go somewhere, but where were they going? We're going to visit my parents' house." "Oh, I see. Safe travels." "Before you go, could you bring me some water? My throat is all dry." I felt relieved when I heard that they were going to visit Catherine's parents and asked them to bring me some water. Even if they were mean to me, I thought they would do at least that much. "Huh? Do it yourself." "Well, fine. I'll bring it to you." Catherine, muttering under her breath, disappeared into the kitchen. She was back after a while, and out of the blue, splash! Something splashed on my face, and I was left speechless. "You reek! So funny, all covered in wine." Catherine, with the eyes of a demon, looks down on me and bursts into loud laughter. She had splashed wine on me while I was laying down sick. With my consciousness fading, her heartless words and deeds pierced my heart. "We're going back home now, so finish all the chores by the time we get back. Don't leave a speck of dust." Her comments are so harsh, I am convinced that she's possessed by a devil. "Wow, that's lame, Catherine. You are so mean." Even my eldest son, joining in on his wife's behavior, claps his hands and bursts into laughter behind her. How did he end up like this? He's not my child anymore. Now I'm sure of it. "No problem. This is nothing. So you're gonna clean the house, right? Not like you have any choice anyway." She looks down on me. "Ew," is all she says. "Yes, I'll do the cleaning." Unable to fight against her, I replied, biting my lips. The house better be clean by the time we get back. If not..." Okay. I was down with fever, so I reluctantly agreed to her. But deep down, my blood was boiling with anger. I couldn't forgive my eldest son and his wife anymore. Catherine, who had splashed wine on my face, hastily left the house with John. The bitter frustration and the smell of strong wine made me grimace, but my condition only worsened as time passed, and I couldn't even get up to wash my face. Lying down, unable to do anything, right when my consciousness began to fade, I heard the front door open. "I'm home." The familiar voice made me open my eyes in surprise. "Honey?" "Mary, what happened?" My husband, seeing me lying weakly on the sofa, immediately rushed over to me. "What is this smell? Did something happen?" "Catherine and John did this to me." Upon seeing my beloved husband's face suddenly, I couldn't contain my emotions, and I confessed everything that the two had been doing to me. It had been a while since the last time I saw my husband. In the middle of it all, I couldn't hold back my tears and started crying like a child. "I see. I'm sorry I never noticed." "No, I'm sorry for not telling you properly, but why did you come back?" "The doctor told me I could go home because my condition has improved. I wanted to see you as soon as possible." "I see. Thank you, honey." After that, my husband gently wiped my wine-soaked face with a damp towel and carried me to the bed. He tucked me under a warm blanket and even prepared a light meal and a drink that was easy on my stomach, which brought tears to my eyes. I can't stand it anymore. Although they are our son and his wife, I can't tolerate them anymore. They don't contribute to the household expenses, and on top of that, they are just awful. You're right. After hearing about all they did, I completely understand you. We can't live in this house anymore. My husband and I were enraged. We contemplated how to fight back against John and his wife. Ideally, we'd like to kick them out of this house, but they wouldn't just leave because we asked them to. So we had no other choice but to take a different approach. To put it blunt, our plan was a forceful operation. It was something we had been slowly putting into action. Finally, the time had come for us to execute it. Surely it would be a very effective strategy against them, who had constantly ridiculed me and my home. I met my husband's eyes and nodded. It's showtime. Over the course of the several weeks, we carried out our plan, and things had finally settled. One day, we were relaxing on our living room sofa when my phone rang. It was from John. I chuckled. Finally, the moment had come. Swallowing hard, I answered the phone, trying to calm my pounding heart. "Hey, you old hag. What the hell is going on here?" startled by the sudden barrage of abuse from the other end of the phone. I instinctively pulled the phone away from my ear. "Well, what's the matter? Aren't you at Catherine's parents' place?" "We just got back home, but why is our house gone?" John's frantic voice was so funny to me, I struggled to hold back my laughter. "Well, you remember how Catherine told me to leave the house cleaned by the time you guys got back? So we did. We cleaned the whole house. Not a speck of dust left, right?" Yes, I took Catherine's word and used it against them. Sold the house and moved out, leaving nothing behind. It was something we had been considering ever since my husband collapsed from fatigue. We were getting older. Farming is labor demanding. We considered giving it up and living out our retirement years in peace. I thought my workaholic husband would oppose the idea, but he was so affected by his collapse that he readily agreed to my suggestion. We always had inquiries about having our land for sale, so we were able to sell it with no problem. Things moved quickly after that, and before we knew it, our house was completely gone. We loved our previous house, but it was much easier for us to sell it off than plan about who to pass it down to. We moved to a rental apartment in the neighboring state. We thought it would be hard to take out a mortgage for a house at our age, so we agreed that a rental would be fine. And now I'm on the phone with John from our new home. "What the hell did you do? Do you think you can get away with this? What are we supposed to do now?" Hearing the yelling from the other end of the line, I couldn't help but sigh. What the hell did I do? You guys are the ones who ruined everything for us. What are you saying? Barging into someone else's home and making a mess, not contributing to the household expenses. Bullying an old woman like me. Was it fun? Call me every name under the sun. I don't care. Damn it. John grunted in anger, and I couldn't help but chuckle. They probably never imagined the house would be gone. Just the thought of them standing in front of an empty lot dumbfounded was cracking me up. "Mom, what the hell did you do?" John passed the phone to his wife. I remembered her smug smile when she poured wine on me and felt nauseous. "It's my house, and I'll do as I please. It's none of your business." "It is totally my business. We lived here too. It's our home as well." "Huh, our home? You never helped around the house or paid any bills. How dare you claim it is your place? Besides, I know something about you, Catherine." "What?" "You quit your job a while ago, didn't you? Or were you fired? Either way, it doesn't really matter. Yet you leave home every night saying you're heading to work. What have you been doing exactly?" You're cheating, aren't you? Want me to tell John about this?" "What did you say?" She didn't deny it, so I guess I was right. I had a hunch that Catherine has been cheating for several months now. She comes home from work at odd hours every day, and I started to notice a peculiar smell of perfume on her laundry, but she never wore them before. She might be able to fool my stupid son, but she can't fool me. You can't just run away when things get tough after all the things you did to us. Get out of my place right now. Fine, I get it. There's no way I can live in this dump anyway. Sounds like she has given up. With a rustling sound, she seemed to be leaving the lot. "Hey, where are you going?" "I can't stay here any longer. I'm going back to my parents' house. Goodbye." "Hey, wait a minute." John's confused voice echoed. He had no idea he was being cheated on. When Catherine left, he took out all of his anger on me. "Old hag, what the hell did you say to Catherine?" "I only told her I would spill the beans about her affair to you." "What?" The way my John fell apart after that was terrible. Unable to accept the reality, he cursed and shouted harsh words like "shit" and "why the hell?" Then he started yelling at me. "How could you do this to me? I'm your son, for God's sake. You took it too far." After all the things he did, my son was still trying to play the victim. I started to feel bad for him. He's so pathetic. But that doesn't mean I'm ever going to live with him again. My son? You are no longer my son. Oh, and one more thing. What? Your phone contract is about to end soon, so this really is our goodbye. Huh? My son couldn't even breathe right and just gawked. I had canceled my son's phone contract, which he had made me pay since he moved in. The contract ends this month, but today's already the last day of the month. From tomorrow, my son's phone will be useless. Now I can finally cut ties with you. Goodbye. Hey! Without waiting for a reply, I hung up the phone. I felt all the energy drain out of me in an instant, and I slumped onto the sofa. My husband said, "Good job," and brought me a warm cup of tea. Finally, I can sever ties with my eldest son. Just thinking about it seemed to heal all the hardships I had gone through. A week later, our intercom rang. I went up to check the intercom screen and saw my second son. The screen lets us see who's at the door without leaving the comfort of our living room. "Hey, Mom, it's been a while." "Well, if it isn't James. So nice of you to visit us. Come in." As I reached to press the open button for the door, a gruff voice suddenly commanded, "Move it! I finally found you, you old hag. Open up now." To my surprise, John popped up, even though we never gave him our address. I wondered if he hired a detective or something. "Open up? I bet you're just here to try and steal some money. Just leave right now." Keep talking like that and we'll see what will happen to this guy." John took out a blade that looked like a knife from his pocket. The sight made me shriek in fright, but I was more worried about James being in danger. I needed to do something quickly. "Bro, what are you doing?" You've been looking down on me. An office worker, you said. You make me sick." "Bro, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Leeching off Mom and Dad's money? Living like a parasite? You son of a..." Oh no, James is in trouble. Just when I blanked out in fear, I heard the blaring siren of a police car, followed by the sound of heavy boots approaching. "We're arresting you for attempted murder. Come with us." "Hey, wait, what the hell?" Through the screen, I saw John get taken down by the police with his knife still in his hands. That's as far as I saw. I'm guessing that the neighbors called the cops after hearing the commotion at our place. According to James, his brother had a crazed look in his eyes, barely recognizable as his brother he once knew. "Mom, sorry it's late, but I'm getting married." "Oh really? Congratulations." "Thank you." Receiving such joyous news from James, my husband and I were overwhelmed with happiness, and we celebrated the occasion by having a feast with him. I am more satisfied with just this child. Our eldest son can live his own separate life. My husband also seemed relieved that we were finally free of him. After that, John was taken by the police, and it was discovered that he had committed other crimes like theft and intimidation. The duration of his imprisonment is yet to be decided. Of course, he lost his part-time job. I felt profound sadness, wondering where I went wrong in raising a child who would resort to such crimes. Even though Catherine went back to her parents' home, it seems her irresponsible lifestyle hadn't changed, and I heard rumors that she was kicked out of there too. Turns out that a man she was having an affair with was married with kids, and now she's being sued by his wife. It's a disaster for her, but it's karma. Of course, John and Catherine had gotten divorced. I have stopped thinking about John and I'm moving on, heading toward a new future in our new home. Mom, this is Rachel. She works as a pharmacist at a pharmacy near my workplace. Hello, mother-in-law. Nice to meet you. Rachel, nice to meet you too. The fiancé James brought home, Rachel, was a 32-year-old woman, polite, intelligent, and instantly likable. It's going to get busy, isn't it? But I'm looking forward to it. James, Rachel, my husband and I all had dinner together, sharing laughter. One day, we'll gather around the table together again with our grandchild. Just imagining it was a beautiful scene.